Thank you for joining us. This is Health Your Own Way podcast, and I am your host, Mo Atkins. Welcome to another episode. Today, please allow me to introduce my guest. Her name is Denise. She's a certified life coach. She's passionate about helping you overcome the stories holding you back, discovering your passion. Hence why today we're going to be talking about, what she went through, like finding herself and her voice after being raised in a restrict religion. So I'm really excited to have this conversation. Anything you want to add before we start today?
Oh, you nailed it. I'm looking forward to this conversation. Yeah.
Perfect. I think for me, one of the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation is because sometimes when you live in a certain type of environment, we don't hear the people's story of how they survive and what they do. And I think this is a great story to hear. So can you share with us what kind of religion we're talking about and how long were you part of that specific environment for?
Yeah. Well, I was raised in it, and I was raised a Jehovah's Witness,
Okay.
and I was part of it until I was like, 20, 22, 23 or something like that. We
Okay.
got married, and we, moved out of our hometown and someplace else, and we just started feeling free with, okay, we're kind of making some friends that weren't Jehovah's Witnesses, and which is always, not supposed to do. You're supposed to stay
Oh,
within your, and so we started seeing, life, we started, getting a feel for, making and be getting in our own power, and having friends, and that there was, things that were missing. And so we just decided, we wrote the letter and asked to be disassociated from that religion. And that was very, very powerful and scary and hard, but it was very freeing.
let's go back for a second. So you want one of the reasons why, like maybe it wasn't clear to me, but one of the reasons why you want to leave the Jehovah Witnesses because you want to experience something outside. You found it very restrictive. Is that what I
It's
understood?
very restrictive. I mean, you're always, you have to, stay. It's very much like a toxic relationship that you
Okay.
find yourself into, like relationships. It's kind of very similar. It's like you have to associate with only certain people that they say you can associate within the religion. You are, told what you're going to do. You're going to, how many hours you need to serve. And you're never doing enough. You're never doing it right, and you're constantly judged, and you're held up to scrutiny. And I found it so restrictive, and so you have no personal power whatsoever. You have no vision, no goals, except for what their vision is, that you are to serve them. That is what you are to do. And you are to be going door to door. You are to be, working towards, saving others and bringing them into the religion. And your purpose is that when you die and come back in paradise, that is what your life is going to be, and, to work towards being in paradise.
Fair enough. And when you were transitioning, because you mentioned earlier that you had to write a letter
Hmm.
to be allowed, are they allowed to
Well,
deny you?
no, no. I mean, they
Okay.
just, no, they don't. You just have to, since we were, you have to write this letter to say you don't want to be part of it anymore. And then they announce in front of the whole congregation, that we are disassociated or disfellowshipped, or whatever they deem that you have. If you've broken a rule, you're disfellowshipped and you're shunned. They're not, my family never talks to me, and they never
Mm.
even acknowledge me. If I'm in the grocery store in the same line, they don't even look me in the eye. So yeah, when you write that letter, I knew what the consequences would be. I would no longer be able to speak to my family. I knew what the consequences were, and so I know that are not shunning me out of hate, but they're in their mind, they're shunning you out of love. But I had to make a choice for myself and my freedom and what I felt in my heart, because it never ever felt right to be part of that religion. I never really felt like I had a relationship with God. I didn't even know if at that time, it's like, I had to do some unpacking after I left, and even know if that I believed in God. So that's where my journaling journey really started to take hold, is after I left. And it's like, okay, what do I believe? What do my heart believe? And I had to develop my own spirituality. And so that journey was powerful, and very, very freeing to be able to come to your own conclusions for your own beliefs.
I appreciate you saying that. And I was going to ask you, and I think you kind of answered it, was what were some of the major challenges you faced when you were transitioning? Because you mentioned that you kind of had to figure out, what do I really believe? Like who you are as a person. And you mentioned the journaling and how it helped you. Anything else that you were discovering that you felt that journaling was helping you out, or just in general, what were you struggling with really specifically when you transitioned?
Well, the first part was just, I was still the part of the religion, it's like you're just always going to be subservient to your husband. They are the leader. They are. So I just still took me a long time until I became a single mother. We got divorced, that I started finding my own voice. I still was very much in a toxic relationship with my marriage, because I was still of the mindset that I was raised in for, being married, and I didn't have my voice. And so that took me some time until I later on became a single mother, that I found my voice. But then at the time of leaving the religion, it was freeing. Like with any choice you make, the hard part is making that decision. But after you make it, you get you feel this power of making that decision, and then you can free yourself and discover yourself. And I, after leaving, was very empowered with the fact that I could celebrate my kids' birthdays. I could celebrate, anything. Holidays. I love the holidays. I love birthdays. And probably because I was denied that for so long, that I still find so much joy in the season and in celebrating birthdays and anniversaries and all that fun stuff. So to me, there was not too hard of a transition in that respect, but there was a really hard transition in finding my personal power.
I appreciate you seeing that. When you mentioned the holidays and and birthdays, your face lit up. Like you literally
Yeah.
lit up. I was like,
Well, here we are in the holiday season coming up to it, and I'm just like, I love this. I have the Christmas music going, and yeah, so I just have such an appreciation for everything that is that, because I can make my choice to do that. I'm not told I can't enjoy a Christmas song, right?
It's true. Like you mentioned how you found your voice, and I think a lot of people don't know how good they can feel, or what's possible for them when they're stuck doing something that's kind of miserable. And once you find yourself, and once you learn to discover your voice, you seem like you enjoy things that couldn't enjoy before. You seem like you're a lot more happier now. When people are watching you or listening to you even talk, like, and they're saying, "Okay, well, I get you did it, but it's still hard." What would you say to them, saying, what would you say to somebody today if they were struggling with anything, just to be able to regain their voice? What would you say to them to give them advice?
Yeah. Well, it is hard. It is hard. Don't, and it's so hard, but after you make that decision, like I said earlier, it comes easy then, because the hard part is making that decision. But you got to listen to that voice inside yourself. You got to give that voice power and strength, and stand behind that voice inside of you that really wants to do something, that knows whatever is the situation you're in is not right. This is not healthy. You need to take hold of that voice, give it power, and go forward. And it gets easier after you have made that decision. So make a decision. Nobody's going to make that decision for you. Nobody's come along and say, this is what you need to do. I mean, people will, if your friends are telling you what you need to do, but you have to be the one, the doer. You have to be the doer. And that is the hard part. But deciding is powerful, and be proud of yourself for making the decision, and acknowledge that win for making that decision for yourself. And as you making those baby steps, you will find the power as in within yourself, because you have done it, and you start building that muscle. It's pretty much a muscle you have to start exercising for yourself, and just get under that skin and go for it, and you will be powerful after that. And it gets easier with each way as you acknowledge yourself. Give yourself credit. That's the hard part. You beat yourself up so much, and once you start giving yourself credit for making that decision, listening to yourself, you begin to do it more, and it gets easier.
I love that. And I know we mentioned earlier that you're a certified life coach. And I find that, you seem like you have a lot of experience behind your life? Like, you've gone through the ups and downs and you've done a lot. If anybody was interested in learning more about, your journey or more about what you can offer them in respects to, getting their own voice and, coming out of their shell, what's the best platform to reach you out on?
For me, to reach out to me?
Yeah.
Email me at pr@denisewester.com. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and like you said, you can email me. I'm here for you. And I became a certified life coach because after I wrote my book, Busting Through, I really was pondering how I wanted to further support my readers. And that is why I wanted to get certified as a life coach, because I wanted to have the tools to be able to do that. So we have a private Facebook group just for my readers, so I can continue to support continued more journaling prompts. And we're there for each other, cheering each other on the wins and, or the struggles, supporting you through the struggles. And I really wanted to make sure that I just didn't selling books. That's not what I'm about. I want to help people with the methods that help me to get courageous. And I wanted to support my readers continually.
The details about your book itself, are they on your website, or is it just something that they have to email you on? Because I'm wondering if people are listening to you or watching you, if they want to learn more about the book or what you're talking about, can they go on your website to get that information?
You can go to denisewester.com and there's a link to my book. It's on Amazon, Busting Through. And then I also have a link there for a freebie for busting through procrastination. It's a little one sheet on some tips and to get through procrastination. And it's a hard one. And like we talked about making decisions earlier, and it's really, really hard for people to decide what they want to do and to make those steps. And so I have a freebie out. It's called Busting Through Procrastination, and it's there for you.
Love that. And before we let you go, what's next for you? What do you want to share with us that we should know?
What's next is I want to just continue with my book journey here and supporting my readers and getting the message out that you are not alone. There's others that are going through things too, that are maybe not the same, but similar, or have gone through things, and we can support each other. And I want to support you in finding your strength, finding your curiosity, and getting you powerful.
Love that. I want to say thank you for this conversation, because I know that a lot of people will benefit from this. A lot of people struggle with their voice, and just having you tell your story in respects to what you went through and what you offer and what kind of community you're creating means a lot. So thank you very much for being part of this platform today.
Thanks for having me. You're awesome.
We're glad to have you join us. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, share with anyone that needs to be empowered and inspired. And don't forget to join us next week for the next episode of Health Your Own Way podcast. Have a good day, you guys.